This is it. This is your last chance. Don't be a DHT dummy. Look, if you're really, really smart, I'm just going to confirm what you're already doing is correct in the arena of anabolic expression. And I'm also going to give you the latest scientific game on DHT and androgenic activity. Suffice it to say, or meaning to say, you're already taking creatine, right? Right? I hate cliches. They're dreadfully dull, but perhaps their lack of novelty is telling of the hard truths that they really convey. This is the truth that you already know concerning exercise and athletic performance. But really beyond that, creatine is easily the most researched supplement on the market today. Even if you are a stickler and a really cynical person, it's hard to strawman an argument against creatine use. You know, I almost never even made this video on creatine because of the reputation that kind of precedes it. I apologize if I'm sounding really, really arrogant right now, but I just wanted to emphasize the overwhelming strength of the argument that creatine and anabolic expression, they go hand in hand. And I'm not even that well informed, or at least, I mean, not to the extent that I usually would like to be on, speaking on these kinds of subjects. I mean, do you even really know what creatine is? Because I didn't. I mean, if we're going to speak very, very plainly, it's energy. In a more scientific parlance, it's a naturally occurring compound, and you can find this in red meat, you can find it in seafood, which is stored as phosphocreatine in your muscles. From here, it helps produce something called adenosine triphosphate, or ATP, which is this high energy molecule. You actually make it naturally in the liver and the kidneys and the pancreas too. Structurally, it's very similar in its chemical composition to something like amino acids. You ever play Need for Speed Underground 2 as a kid? I always think creatine always reminds me of the nitrous oxide upgrade on the Nissan 350Z. It gives you an extra boost. Like anecdotally, you kind of hear of people immediately getting stronger onto creatine via increasing the phosphocreatine stores in your muscles, allowing for quicker ATP synthesis during high intensity, short duration activities. But maybe even more interesting is something called lactic acid buffering. Additionally, there are numerous stories from individuals who cycle creatine tell you that they are able to increase their rep ranges dramatically, especially towards the end of failure. So let's say you're benching 2 plates. You suddenly start miraculously out of nowhere going 2, 3 extra repetitions in this particular facet. And this is going to be a testimony to creatine's work in delaying fatigue during high intensity exercises like the aforementioned one. But what about protein synthesis? Well, the evidence is that creatine stimulates something called the mTOR pathways and some of the particular components in that pathway. Now, if you don't know what this is the mechanistic target of rapamycin. Essentially, this is a cellular signaling pathway that plays a significant role in regulating cell growth, proliferation, and metabolism. Now, creatine is kind of like this little fish with a cattle prod strapped to its back, and it goes around stimulating different paths of mTOR, like IGF-1, like 4E binding protein, and also kinase, which are all involved in this anabolic signaling and hypertrophy pathway. Here's something else. Did you know you have muscle stem cells? So these are referred to as satellite cells, small mononucleated stem cells found in the skeletal muscles. So they play critical role in the muscle fiber maintenance, repair, and remodeling. They act as They are stem cells for muscles responsible for growth, repair, and response to exercise injury or disease. Research does suggest that creatine can enhance satellite cell mitotic activity and differentiation into muscle fibers, contributing to growth and overall repair. Now let's talk DHT. Let's talk creatine. The methodology of this particular study was kind of outrageous, to be honest. So rugby players supplementing 25 grams of creatine per day, which if you take creatine is 20 grams more than what you would normally take. However, I should actually clarify this point. This was a loading phase they were using, which is to say they were only really taking 25 grams for 1 week and then 5 grams subsequently after that 7th day. But I should say that creatine is, again, very well researched, very safe, However, if you are slamming 25 grams every single day, there have been reports of, stomach cramps, nausea, pain in this area as well. So maybe that isn't ideal. The regimen that I just described resulted in a 56% increase in DHT levels after that initial loading phase, and the levels remained 40% above baseline after the maintenance. So that's the 5 grams every day subsequently. The increase in DHT was actually hypothesized. To be due to an increase of the rate of conversion from testosterone to DHT through 5-alpha reductase, which is the transmutation. Transmutation is a good word, from testosterone into DHT. So pretty rad, right? Unless you're maybe predisposed to the male pattern baldness gene. But if you want my advice in that regard, embrace it. Embrace what you got. The Mr. Clean look is favorable to some women, because alongside DHT moving north of 40%, which is arguably the most anabolic molecule in your body, you've got other really cool, neat processes like myogenic factors. So this is tissue formation. Creatine has jurisdiction over the secretions like myokines and myostatins and growth factor. Also, even cooler is that I'm not just talking about the vanity metrics or the visual metrics of masculine gene expression. The stuff that is far more interesting in my estimation has always been what it can do to your neural circuitry. There is a lot of merit in the cognitive processes, especially conditions characterized by brain creatine deficiencies, or let's say metabolic stress. So more specifically, short-term memory and intelligence or reasoning, rationality can be improved with creatine supplementation, because again, it has effects here. Benefits are more pronounced in older adults or during times of stress, according to the scientific kind of like corpus. Effects on other cognitive domains like attention, executive function, and reaction time have also been measured. Oh, and neuroprotective elements as well, lest you degenerate to Alzheimer's or dementia. So in closing, stronger, more powerful, more formidable, more intelligent. Facts, no theories.